We finally in this thing. Shalom, shalom, family. It's Yehuda from YAH'S Assembly. As usual, I had some technical difficulties going on today, so we're gonna go ahead and try to get this thing started. I'm solo today, so we're gonna do what we gotta do. Guess we'll start with prayer. Father, we just ask you for the forgiveness of our sins and for the sins of our ancestors. We thank you for allowing us to be able to see another day, to be able to rest in your Shabbat, Father. We thank you for giving us the gift of life, and we just want you to know that we don't take this for granted, Father. We ask, Father, for you to create in us clean and contrite hearts, minds, and ruachs and spirits, Father. We ask that your mercy and your truth abounds in us, Father, because we are the lights of the world, Father, because we are beacons of your light, Father. We just ask for you to order our steps within your word and to let not iniquity have dominion over us this day, Father. We want to pray for all those that are hungry, all those that are in need of shelter, of clothing, Father. We ask that you provide for them, Father, because you are merciful, because Yahuwah is good and his mercy endureth forever, Father. And you know, it's been a trying week. We know that these days and these times are going to get harder and harder, Father, but we look to you, Father, because our trust is in you and not in man, Father. All these things we do ask and pray in the name of Adonijah, Yahusha, Hamashach, Aman. So, let's see what's going on. Let's see. Okay. So, we've been going over a sound mind. And let me just put this in the right view. Of course, I got to redo that. And we're going to go in the right. So we've been going over a sound mind and how important it is in this day with all the distractions, with all the traps that the enemy is set up for us. And a lot of times the traps are our loved ones, you know, our families, our friends, those people that should have our back, but that don't. People that don't really seek after the Most High or even have a mind to even want to do things like that. So we are going to delve deeper in it. So today is Sound Mind 5. Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the Serpent stones. Because in quote-unquote Old Testament, actually really the whole book, it's not, they aren't just stories, they aren't just accounts. This is historical records. These are chronicles from King David. This is what happened to our people. So in this day and age, it's imperative and important that we know the history so we don't repeat it. Excuse me. Oh, hey. Shalom, shalom. Huh? Yeah, you gonna like it. I think June's still coming. He just had to do a lot with his mama. Oh, it's such a blessing to his mama. Okay, huh? What's up? It's messed up. I'll figure it out. Okay, gotta get that door fixed. Got it.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're good. You're good, because I mean, what I've been going through took me very able to fall asleep. I was finally able to fall asleep. But then it was like, I told you I've been tired. Like I haven't been sleeping, so I actually got sleep last night, so that was weird. But the title of today's lesson, if it'll go back to it, where did it go? Is Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the Serpent stones. Because you know we're focused on the sound mind, and I was just saying that these histories in the Bible. They're not just stories. They aren't myths. They aren't legends. You know, this is our people's historical records. So in order for us to not make the same errors or mistakes, we need to know, you know, how can you know where you're going if you don't know where you came from?
Ooh,
You know, that's what they've always did to us. So,
indeed.
okay. Yeah, real quick, because I don't want this to be in front. So let me switch this back to this, because I don't want to go back to that. No?
What are you trying to do?
That actually does look right. Okay, because it wasn't showing right on my screen, so I wasn't for sure I was going to look on live, but okay, that actually does look right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you already did that. Okay, so again, Sound Mind 5, Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the Serpent Stone. So, we've been going through Paul's letters to find out about a sound mind, and then we figured out that Paul took it from David. It was Paul and David's faith, a sound mind. So we're gonna keep hammering that, and then we're gonna go over a little bit more, just to show you again that this is all pulling from Psalms 119. So we're gonna go back to 2 Timothy 1. We're gonna read verses 7 and 13 again, and we're also gonna read 2 Timothy 2 and verse 15. That way we can come to a better understanding of things. So it'll be on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, so it says, "For Elohim have not given us a ruach of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind," sound heart. Verse 13, "Hold fast the form of sound words, which thou hast heard of me in faith and love, which is in Hamashiach Yahusha." And holding fast the form of sound words is definitely going to be something that we need to pay attention to in today's lesson, because we're going to see if these people actually did that. If they were given the ruach of fear and power and love, whether they were given the ruach of fear or of power and love and of a sound mind. And then especially when we go to the 2 Timothy right now, chapter 2, verse 15, it says, "This study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." This is almost the exact quotes from Psalms 119. And people don't understand it. They think that Paul got this new revelation. He didn't. There's nothing new under the sun. And I'm just trying to show everybody so everybody can be of the same understanding, one mind, because the word didn't change when Yahushua was made manifest in the flesh. It was fulfilled. It came to the complete understanding of things. And when I was just looking over this again, I'm like, man, like he was literally almost quoting verbatim everything David was talking about. But people are so stuck in the New Testament that they refuse to go to Old like it's some bad thing, which it's not. We know that it's not. So we're going to go back to Psalms 119. Remember, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So we're going to figure out what the word of truth is and what keeps you from not being ashamed. Okay, so we're going to start at Psalms 19, verse 80. "Let my heart be sound in thy statutes." Because I know we've gone over this one before, but there's some other ones in here. "That I be not ashamed." So statutes go back to the what? To the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. So he said, "Let my mind be sound, be founded, be founded upon a rock in thy statutes," because the statutes are a rock to us. "That I be not ashamed." Now, back to Proverbs 14, and we're not back to Proverbs 14 again, because we went there last week, verse 30 and 35. "A sound heart or mind is the life of the flesh." So it's life eternal, because what is he talking about? Because Solomon wrote Proverbs. So let my heart be sound in thy statutes, what David was talking about. And he says a sound heart is the life of the flesh. That's talking about life eternal. But then he talks about but envy is the rottenness of the bones. Now, the thing about envy will cause you to do something that you ain't got nothing to do. Remember envy when we start talking about Yoab, because it played a crucial part in his final end. Proverbs 14, verse 35. The king's favor is toward a wise servant. So we know that Yahusha is our king. But in this earthly realm, there's kings, there's princes, there's governors, there's presidents. And to be wise, we know, is to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, but to be humble, not to do things presumptuously. Then it says that, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. So we know that if we have sound mind, that we're not going to be ashamed, and we're not going to cause shame to those that are in power, those that are in authority, places over us. So again, when it comes to Yoab, just pay attention to it. Even to Adonijah, because you can't just do things out of your own will just because you want to. We got to get out of the point where we're trying to exalt ourselves above our people, above our brethren. We're all one, and we're all trying to get it right. We're all trying to make it. Self-exaltation can get you killed. And that's not a characteristic of a sound mind. Because whoever humbles himself, the Most High exalts. You don't exalt yourself and then the Most High exalts you. That's not how it works. Because you believe in your own strength and in your own power. And that's not what he created us for. So we're going to stay in Psalms 119. We're going to read verses 5 and 6 and 30 through 31. Because remember, it says, study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So we're about to find out what the word of truth is, what keeps you from not being ashamed, and what the way of truth is. So Psalms 119 and verse 5. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes or precepts or laws. Then shall I not be ashamed. The same thing, if we are directed and diligently seeking the Most High's ways, his will, his purpose for us, we're not going to be ashamed when I have respect unto thy commandments. That's the problem. We're told that the commandments are done away with and people don't respect it anymore. They say it's a curse, that it's a burden, and it's not true. It's not true. Because if the Most High doesn't change, I am Yahuwah, I change not. Therefore, you sons of Jacob are not consumed. If he doesn't change, then how could this stuff, the foundational things, change? Psalms 119, verse 30. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me. So now the judgments are called the way of truth. The way of truth. Study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So again, I have chosen the way of truth. So let's see if it's the word of truth. So we know it's the way of truth. Psalms 119, verse 31. Oh, excuse me. Thy judgments have laid before me. I have stuck unto thy testimonies, O Yahuwah, put me not to shame. So because he's being obedient and diligently seeking these things, he's saying, Most High, I've stuck to your word. Don't let me be ashamed. Don't let me fall from grace. So now we're going to go even further. We're going to go to verses 43 through 45 and then verse 142. Because now we're going to see where the way of truth is. Or the word of truth is. We know what the way of truth is. Psalms 119 verse 43. And take not the word of truth. And take not the word of truth. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth. For I have hoped in thy judgments. Wait. So now the judgments of the Most High are the word of truth. So shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever. So the word of truth is the law. And I know Yahushua is the way, the truth, and the life. I understand that. He's the word made flesh. Because he gave us the complete understanding of the Torah, which is the instructions of the Most High. And again, we read verse 45 last week. And I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. And we read this one as well, 142 last week. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. So the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High is the way of truth. Is the law, is the word of truth. And again, Paul says in 2 Timothy, uh, study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Now, you will only see the word of truth in the New Testament, except for one time, if I'm not mistaken, one or maybe two times. And both of those two times, it was quoted by David. The only one that talked about, that referred to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High as the word of truth is David. That's why it was always Paul and David's faith. So Paul was trying to get us to remember the things of old, to go back to the former things, to the foundational things, to understand that. And people, they worship Paul to their own detriment. They major in Paul, but minor in everything else in the Bible. They minor in the Messiah. That's why I'm like, so who do you serve? Because Paul said to follow me as I follow Hamashiach, not follow me as I'm greater than Christ or Hamashiach. He didn't say that. So why do people keep doing that? So I'm going to ask you, what did the master teach? What are some of the things that Yahusha taught?
Like just us in general.
Yeah, like what were some of the things he taught?
The Ten Commandments.
He definitely taught the Ten Commandments. He taught everything in the law and in the prophets. That was the only thing that they had to teach from one. And Paul even says in, I believe it's Acts 24, that he found Hamashiach in the law and in the prophets. So people need to stop being so steadfast in the New Testament, get founded, then go to the New Testament. That way, because if you can't even find the Messiah in the Old Testament, then are you really seeking the Messiah? Because he's found in the volume of the book, and people can't really even find him in the Old Testament. I'm like, that doesn't make sense if he's in the volume of the book. The book is about him, like it's about us.
Right.
So we're gonna go to Matthew 5 now. I know people always say Hebrew Israelites, they always go to the Matthew 5 and 17 through 19, and this is not, because it's foundational, because this is what the master said. It's not what man said. It's not what Paul said, because you got to filter what Paul says through what the Messiah said. Okay, can you read from 17 through verse 20?
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
So that word one jot, or like the word one tittle, what does that mean?
Like anything that said, the period, the dot, exclamation
Even
mark,
the smallest
thing.
thing in the law.
Right.
It's not going to be, he did not come to end it. So where does this, it's done away with, it's a burden, come from? Because again, people don't understand Paul. Keep going.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. Did I say that?
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. You're good. But you're right, because it does have to exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees. It has to, because they were doctors in the letter of the law, but they didn't have the spirit of the law. They didn't have mercy. They didn't have faith. They just did things out of ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So even when the Messiah is talking about, think not that I've come to destroy the law and the law and the prophets. If you read earlier in that, he says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see Elohim." Who was the only person to see the Master, Yahusha, after he died?
Mm-hmm.
The disciples and, the 12 disciples and the women that were with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it just said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, or pure in mind." They'll say, if you're pure in it, if that goes back to a sound mind. because complete wholeness. So he was saying, blessed are they because they have a sound mind. Even in Matthew 5, he was talking about having a sound mind. Because I was reading it and I was like, wait a minute. And even some of this, like a few of those verses, I'm like, some of this was from Psalms 119.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, man, this is crazy. For they shall see Elohim. So now let's go to something else that Yahusha talked about. Let's go to Luke 6. And we're going to read verses 46 through 49. 46 through 49.
Oh, passed it. Luke 6.
Mm-hmm.
6.
Okay.
And
I got it.
okay.
And why call you me master, master, and do not the things which I say? Because people always say they love Yahusha, but they can't go to his words. They go to Paul's words, which I'm not speaking against Paul's words, because I have a better understanding from Paul, because I take my time with Paul. And he's calling them hypocrites. And he says, whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. So those of us that listen to him and does what he says, not what we've been taught, not what is the norm in today's world, because the norm in today is not a sound mind. It's a mind that goes to a different sound. It's a different beat that they go to. And he says in 48, he is like a man which built a house and dig deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house, and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built an house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. So remember in Proverbs 28. Proverbs 28. I know it's on this one. On the way that Proverbs 28. What did I just do? Didn't mean to do that. My bad. So in Proverbs 28 and verse 9, because I'm just going to go there. So 28 verses 9. Actually, it's 9 and 10.
9 and
10. Okay, so I'm just going to go there just to add to understanding. You see it, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So, whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you whom he is like, build on good foundation. But verse 49 again in Luke 6, he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built a house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell. So Proverbs 28 and verse 9 says, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, that's what Yahushua is talking about, even his prayer shall be an abomination. Whoso causeth the righteous to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself to his own pit, but the upright shall have good things in possession. So what Yahushua is trying to get us to understand is, blessed are the pure in heart. And it's because of you have to be obedient, because obedience is better than sacrifice. We are told that the law and the commandments are our wisdom. But we're also told that when the prophet comes, in whom the Most High's name is in him, that we must listen to him, or he will not what? He will not pardon our sins. That's really important, because if you don't have a sound mind, you can be like a lot of these people that reject the Messiah, because they've seen errors that man have put in the documents in the New Testament, and it's like they look over the errors that are in the Old Testament, because there's some errors in there, if we're being honest. Now, we have to keep what the Messiah said. So now we're going to go to John, and we're going to go to John 7. And we're going to read verses 16 and 17, and then John 12, 49 and 50. It says, Yahusha answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. So the word doctrine, it means teaching. So Yahusha said, my teaching is not my teaching, So those people that don't have a sound mind say that it's the doctrine of Christ, of the Messiah, and he just says that it's not his, it's the Father's. So that means that something did not change. So why do they tell us that Christ came with his own commandments and with his own law? Because he didn't. Because Paul says the law of Christ, and people throw that way out of the way. Technically, he is the lawgiver because he's from Yehuda, because that was the whole prophecy of Yehuda. So that means that he was the one that gave us the law from the beginning, because we haven't really dealt with the Father, because the earth is his footstool and heaven is his throne. Verse 17, if any man will do his will, he shall know the doctrine, whether it be of Elohim or whether I speak of myself. Because these things can only be discerned, distinguished, seen by those that have a sound mind. That's why the kingdom of heaven is not with observation, because everybody doesn't have that sound mind. They can't see the things that are spiritual. They can't believe in anything that they can't see. And in this walk, especially in this day and time, we got to be walking in Amunah. You're not always going to physically see what you're believing for, but you got to believe. You still got to believe. That doesn't stop the walk. That doesn't stop the faith. We have to keep going. We have to endure until the end, so that we may be saved. So now I'm going to go down to John 12, verses 49 through 50. For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. So if the Messiah is saying even the words that he spoke, he didn't speak of himself, but what the Father sent him or told him to say, what makes us think that he's speaking of his own volition, and that he came to do anybody else's will but the Father's? Because it's not true. Flat out. It ain't true. And I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Whatsoever I speak, therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so shall I speak. So again, he only spoke the things that he heard, and he heard from the Father. And his doctrine was not his own. And the same way that he talked about, blessed are the pure in heart. That pure in heart, it means healing. And the reason why I keep saying that is because we're about to get into what the definitions of sound mind actually is. So again, what is a sound mind? Excuse me. So if you go back to the Greek mind, it's sophronismos. It just means self-control, a sound mind. Discipline or self-control. Discipline or self-control is basically what it means. But this was written in Hebrew, so we got to get back to the Hebrew mind. We got to get back to the East, to the Eastern mind, to understand, because it's more than just self-control and self-discipline. That's why Yahushua said, blessed are the pure in hearts, because they're pure in mind, because they're the ones that get to see Elohim. Only the disciples and the other believers that were close to the Messiah got to see him, because they had a sound mind. They were pure in heart. And people don't understand that. It's more than just keeping laws, statutes, and commandments, because yes, that's what gets us to a place. But if you're not renewing your mind, if you're not healing and purging yourself, you're not going to see Elohim. Because again, the kingdom of heaven is not with observation. It's not with observation. You can't just see it. So let's see what it means in the Hebrew. So the first one is tamim. Tamim. It means complete, whole, entire. Whole sound, but you see this word down here, it says healthful. Now in Psalms 119, most of the time it's tamim. That's for the state of the mind. Healthful, whole, sound, complete, entire. And then the other word is leb. It just means your inner man, the inner part, your understanding, your soul, your heart. Well, those aren't the only ones, because Hebrew had many different words to describe many different states of health, or even of a sound mind. So now this word, it means healing, It means health. It means cure. It's H4832. So it's Marpe. So we have Tamim, we have Leb, we have Marpe. Marpe means health, healing, cure, prophet, sound of mind. So the scripture, that's why it says it's the scriptures that heals you. Because that's why Paul talks about renewing your mind. Because of it gives you more pay. It gives your mind or your brain or your body or your spirit and your ruach, your soul, healing. It gives you health. So again, we got Tamim, and we got Leb, which is the inner man, and Tamim in the Greek mind just means self-control or discipline. Then we got Marpe, which means healing, health, cure. It is your cure. So that's why they want people to go and take the jab. Because we don't understand by renewing our mind and focusing and getting a sound mind, that is our cure. It's the scriptures that heals you. It is by your faith are you made whole. And that's an individual thing. We have to work on that. And we have to keep, growing. We have to keep taking strides. We have to keep going from glory to glory. Okay. And then the next word is ball. We love basketball. And I ain't talking about balling, but it's ball. And it just means the heart, the mind. So in the Hebrew mind, the sound mind is health. That's what Proverbs was talking about. The sound heart or mind is life to the flesh. It's life to you. It is life. And they want you to not take hold upon your life, upon your sound mind. They want you to stay in the world. When we were created to not be of the world. So let's keep going. So again, like I was saying, the sound mind is to renew it or to heal it. So we're going to go to Romans 12 and verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim. And we know what it is. It's to love the Most High and to keep His commandments, because this is the whole duty of man. Fear Elohim and keep His commandments. It's Ecclesiastes. For that's the whole what? Duty of man. 2 Timothy 2, verse 4. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. So you got to keep things in context and in perspective, because you can't just say, oh, well, I'm not going to entangle myself, so I'm just not going to do nothing. I'm just going to read the book all day and pray all day, and I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work on my relationship with my significant other, things of that nature, because you got to be more mature than that, because there are some people that I don't want to say that they don't think, but they take some things that are literal, that are figurative or spiritual. So the affairs of this life will be what? The lust of the flesh, being in the world, keeping up with the Joneses. Like, we're warring, because remember, Paul talks about this in Romans 7. He says that he sees another law warring in his members, bringing him into captivity to the law of sin and death. So there's two. There's two. So we can't afford to fall prey to the law of sin and death, because that puts us under the law, which means we're under iniquity, which is the guilt or punishment of sin. Right? That's the worst stage of sin. That he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier, because that's what we're here for. Right now, it's in a spiritual sense. It's a spiritual warrior for your family, for your loved ones, and whatnot. But it's going to come a time again when it's going to be in the physical sense. It's not just going to be spiritual. It's going to come a time again where we're going to have to, have our swords upon us, because the prophets of old, they wasn't no punks. It wasn't always about turning the other cheek, because that was the time for that. Because there's a time for love and hate, So, so today we're going to be in 1 Kings. We're going to read chapters 1 and 2. chapters 1 and 2. It's kind of a lot if you're not really paying attention, but it's needful because we got to know the mistakes that our forefathers and foremothers made. Because of their mistakes, we are where we are in captivity all across the world. And we are trying to be the generation that ends the generational curses, gets it right so we can get back to the land, set up that kingdom, because the saints take the kingdom. The saints take the kingdom. So, chapter 1, Solomon is chosen. So, all right, chapter 1, verse 1. Now, King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he got no heat. So he had the chills, he had the shakes. Wherefore his servants said unto him, Let there be sought for my master the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom. Let my master the king, that my master the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coasts of Israel, and found Abishag, a Shunammite, and brought her to the king. And the damsel was very fair, and cherished the king, and ministered to him, but the king knew her not. So when this would happen back in those days, the king would, either take her as a wife or as a concubine, sleep with her. But David did not do that. He did not do that. So she was held in high regard because she was working or ministering to who? The king. Then here we go. Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. So right out the gate, does it sound like Adonijah has a sound mind? That he's humbling himself so that the Most High can exalt him? No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, Why hast thou done so? And he also was a very goodly man, and his mother bare him after Absalom. So this is another red flag. Because if you know about the story of Absalom, Absalom was David's son that raised up against him, tried to kill him, had sex with his concubines and his wives, and tried to usurp him and take the throne. This is his brother. Now, again, today's lesson is Sound Mind 5, Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the serpent stones, and this is why. And he conferred with Yoab, son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar the priest, and they, following Adonijah, helped him. So when it says conferred, that's a what? That's a conference. That's a league. That is a what? That's a covenant. Is what they're doing. They're coming together to do what? Usurp the throne. Because they knew, as well as Adonijah knew, that Solomon was the one that was going to be heir. So look at who he called. He called Yoab, Abiathar, and of course it was Adonijah. Now let's keep going. But Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, there's Shimei, he's in our title, and Rai, and the mighty men which belonged to David were not with Adonijah. So he called everybody else except for those that were closest to the king. Because David had 2 prophets or seers, Nathan the prophet and Gad the seer. And plus Zadok the priest was his high priest. And Benaiah was about that action. And we're going to find out what type of action that Benaiah was about. We are going to find out. So if you're going to make yourself king, don't you think it would have been smarter for him to get those that were closest to King David to be in league with him? Why did he not do it? Why? What was he up to? He was being sneaky. And it's a very, very fearful thing to fall into the clutches of a king. That's all I'm going to say. Let's keep going. Verse 9. And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zoheleth, which is by Enrogel, and called all his brethren, the king's sons, and all the men of Yehuda, the king's servants. So I'm actually going to go there really quick. First Kings. Verse 9. So whenever you see people slaying cattle, because remember, if you read 2 verses before that, they were what? And he conferred with Yoab, the son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar, the priest, and they, following Adonijah, helped him. So now he's slaying cattle and oxen, and he just brought all his brothers, the king's sons, and all the men of Yehuda, the king's servants. So then he went and got King David's servants. Didn't say nothing to King David. Didn't say nothing to King David's council, try to get any of them to be with him. That's how you know he was wicked, and he was up to something. But let's see if this weapon that's potentially forming against potential King Solomon will prosper. Okay, and just so you know where I got the title from, again, it's Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the Serpent Stone. So if you look up the word Zoheleth, Zoheleth. I always look up the words. So where they had this conference at, where he invited all these people at, where he was shedding the blood of the covenant that they were making with this cattle, it's called, because we know it's a stone, but it's called the serpent. So you knew he was a snake. He was a snake in the grass. He was a literal snake in the grass. Going to try to usurp and take the authority in the kingdom from his brother. Okay, let's keep going. But Nathan the prophet and Benaiah and the mighty men and Solomon his brother he called not. So again, he didn't call Nathan, Benaiah, any of the mighty men, or Solomon. So Solomon didn't go either. That's a little fishy. He called all Solomon's other brothers but him. That's a red flag. Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Hast thou not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, doth reign, and David our master knoweth it not? Knoweth it not? Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Hast thou not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, doth reign, and David our master, knoweth it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray thee, give thee counsel, that thou mayest save thine own life and the life of thy son Solomon. Because why wouldn't he actually get Solomon to come there to the feast as well? That's how you know something wasn't right. And go and get thee unto King David, and say unto him, Didst not thou, my master, O king, swear unto thine handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall not reign, thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit up on my throne. Why then doth Adonijah reign? So right now Nathan and Bathsheba are rehearsing what they're going to say to the king. Remember, the covenant was at the place of the serpent stones. Behold, while thou yet talkest with the king, I will also come in after thee, and confirm thy words. And Bathsheba went in unto the king into the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishag the Shunammite ministered unto him. Bathsheba bowed, and did obeisance unto the king, and the king said, What wouldest thou? And she said unto him, My master, thou swearest by Yahuwah Elohim unto thine handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And now, behold, Adonijah reigneth, and now my master, the king, thou knowest it not. So she basically letting him know what Adonijah done. Let's see how it's going to end for Adonijah. And he hath slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and have called all the sons of the king, and Abiathar the priest, and Yoab the captain of the host, But Solomon thy servant hath he not called. And thou, my master, O king, Shlomo, and thou, my master, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldest tell them who shall sit on the throne of my master, the king, after him. We're in 1 Kings. Who shall reign after him. Otherwise it shall come to pass, when my master the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders. And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in. And they told the king, saying, Behold Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. No, you're good. You're good. Okay. So what y'all missed? Okay. Let me go back a few slides. So we're in 1 Kings. We're going to see, in case you didn't see the title, it's Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the Serpent stones. Okay. So what y'all missed is David is really old. He's about to die. He's got the chills. So they look for a fair damsel. Her name was Abishag to come and minister into him. And normally the king would, have sex with her, take her as a concubine or a wife, for him to get his heat back. He didn't do that. He didn't have sex with her. That's going to play a key part later on. Now, if you want, start at verse 5 and one of y'all start reading. We'll just go back to there. That way you can understand the title a little bit better. Adonijah. Yeah.
Then Adonijah, the son of
Haggith,
exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen, and 50 men to run before him.
So, who told him that he's going to be king?
Nobody that I see.
Does it sound like he has a sound mind?
No.
Like, who does that? Yeah, hey, I think I'm going to be king today. Yeah, David, he about to kick the bucket, so yeah, I think I'm going to be king. That's literally what, I'm going to be king. Okay. Right. Okay, but let's see what happens. Keep going.
And his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, Why hast thou done so? Mm-hmm. And he also was a very goodly man. And his mother bare him after Absalom.
So, do y'all remember the story about Absalom? What he did? Mm-hmm. Okay, what Absalom did. Okay, Absalom was David's son. Rose up and tried to take the kingdom from him. Slept with all his concubines. Tried to kill him. So Adonijah is his brother. Now, can a wicked tree bear good fruit? Can a corrupt tree bear good fruit?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let's keep going.
And he conferred with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and with
Abiathar,
the priest, and they following Adonijah helped him. But Zadok, the priest, and Benaiah, the son of
Jehoiada,
and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, and Rel, and the mighty men which belonged to David were not with Adonijah.
So now, does it sound like, so again, one day once he found his dad was dying, I think I'm gonna be king. And looking like we have a conferred, that means what, a conference or a league or a covenant is being made. Mm-hmm. Now, look who he did that with, and we see who he did make a covenant with. Those that were closest to King David. Mm. So do you think that he has a sound mind and he's being righteous, or is he like a snake and sneaky?
He's being sneaky.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. So, June, can you start reading in verse 9?
Yeah. And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle. Mm-hmm. Oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zoheleth, which is by Enrogel. Mm-hmm. And called all his brethren, the king's sons, and all the men of Judah, the king's servants.
So, what does it sound like he's doing with them right now? If he's slaying cattle, you do that when you're about to cut a what?
Covenant.
Okay, keep going.
But Nathan the prophet and Benaiah, and the mighty men, and Solomon his brother he called not.
Wait, so he called all the sons of King David but Solomon? Because they already knew that Solomon was supposed to be king.
Right.
So again, does it sound like he has the attributes of a sound mind? Okay, keep going.
Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Hast thou not heard that Adonijah the son of Haggith do reign, and David our master knoweth it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray thee, give thee counsel, that thou mayest save thy own life and the life of thy son Solomon.
So now, if Bathsheba didn't have a sound mind, she would have just brushed him off. So let's see if she actually is going to listen to the words of the prophet so that she can be preserved and saved, or if she's just going to, like, yeah, you're crazy, man. Solomon already got this. It don't matter what Adonijah say. He talking crazy anyway.
Right.
All right, keep going.
Go and get thee in unto King David, and say unto him, Didst not thou, my master, O king, swear unto thine handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. Why then doeth Adonijah reign?
Keep reading.
Behold, while thou yet talkest there with the king, I also will come in after thee, and confirm thy words.
So Nathan and Bathsheba are doing what? They are rehearsing what they're going to do, what they're going to say to the king. Okay, keep going.
And Bathsheba went in unto the king into the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishag, the
Shunammite,
Shunammite ministered unto the king. Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance unto the king. And the king said, What wouldest thou? And she said unto him, My master there sweareth by
Yahuwah.
Yeah, my master, thou swearest by Yahuwah thy Elohim unto thine handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And now behold, Adonijah reigneth, and now my master the king, thou knowest it not.
So, like, you can't say that you're going to be the king. The king ain't dead. He ain't appointed you, right? Do you think that that's setting him up for success or failure? Okay. Read the verse 20 and then we'll switch.
And he hath slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and hath called all the sons of the king, and who is this? Abiathar?
Abiathar, yeah.
Abiathar, the priest, and Joab, the captain of the host. But Solomon, thy servant, hath he not called. And thou, my master, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldest tell them who shall sit on the throne of my master, the king, after him.
Okay. Otherwise, it shall come to pass, when my master the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders, because he was the one that wasn't invited. She knows that they're going to be killed, because he has a claim to the throne. And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in. And they told the king, saying, Behold, Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. So he submitted himself to the king. Now let's keep going. And Nathan said, My master, O king, hast thou said, Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne? Question mark. For he is gone down this day, and have slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and have called all the king's sons, and the captains of the host, and Abiathar the priest, and behold, they eat and drink before him, and say, Elohim save King Adonijah. So they're already calling him king. But me, even me, thy servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and thy servant Solomon, hath he not called? Is this thing done by my master the king, and thou hast not showed it unto thy servant, who should sit on the throne of my master the king after him? Then King Daud answered and said, Come Bathsheba, and she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. So how y'all think this is going to end?
She might be forthtelling.
We're going to see. We going to see. Okay. And the king sware and said, As Yahuwah liveth, that have that have redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto thee by Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so will I certainly do this day. Can you read Jessica? 31.
Then, is it Bathsheba?
Bathsheba. Mm-hmm.
Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth, and did reverence to the king, and said, Let my lord King David live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And King David said, Call me Zadok,
mm-hmm.
the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah,
mm-hmm.
and son of I can't pronounce that. Say it. Yehoda? Yeah.
Yehoiada?
Yeah.
Yehoiada.
Is that what it is?
Right.
Yehoiada.
Oh, Yehoda. And they came before the king. The king also said unto them, Take with you the servants of your lord, and cause Solomon my son to ride upon my own mule, and bring him down to Gihon.
Mm-hmm.
And like Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him their king over Israel, and blow ye the trumpet, and say, God save King Solomon.
So I'm going to say again, does it look like Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, and the crew is operating with the sound mind? Because Adonijah anointed himself king, but no one else did. Then the prophet, a seer, a priest, nobody.
Not even the current king.
Exactly. Because he wanted to exalt himself, because he wasn't, focused on the Most High's ways and keeping his laws and statutes and commandments of the Most High. He was focused about what filthy lucre. He wanted to rule. He wanted to reign. He wanted the judgment seat. He wanted the power. Okay, keep going.
Where am I? 35,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then ye shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead. And I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, answered the king and said, Amen. The Lord God of my Lord the king say so too.
Say so too.
Mm-hmm. My Lord the king say so too. Okay. As the Lord hath been with my Lord the king, even so be he with Solomon, and make his throne greater than the throne of my Lord King David. So Zadok. Why can't I get that right? Mm-hmm. So Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaiah mm-hmm. the son of Jehoiada and the Cherethites mm-hmm. and the Pelethites went down and caused Solomon to ride upon King David's mule and brought him to Gihon.
Mm-hmm. Just read the 40 and now.
Okay.
No, sorry.
And here we go again. And
Zadok
the priest took an hoard of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Solomon. And they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, God save King Solomon. And all the people came up after him, and the people piped with pipes and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth rent with the sound of them.
Okay. So they was real loud and they was happy to know who the actual next king was going to be, right? Elohim saved the king. So now we know what's going on with Adonijah and the boys right now. Right now, what they're doing is what? They slayed all this cattle. They're eating and drinking. They living it up right now. Probably sipping on some wine or more perverse things. Keep going.
Where are we
And Adonijah
41.
and all the guests that were with him heard it as they made an end of eating.
Mm-hmm.
And when Joab heard the sound of the trumpet, he said, "Wherefore is this noise of the city being in an uproar?"
Man, hey man, did you hear that alarm go off? What was that?
And while he yet spake, behold, Jonathan, the son of Abiathar, the priest, came, and Adonijah said unto him, "Come in, for thou art a valiant man, and bringest good tidings."
No, he did not know how true the Besorah was coming to him really quick. He was about to be judged by the Besorah, or the truth, the gospel, like people say. Keep going.
And Jonathan answered and said to Adonijah, "Verily, our master King David hath made Solomon king, and the king hath sent with him Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and they have caused him to ride upon the king's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king in Gihon, and they are come up from thence rejoicing, so that the city rang again. This is the noise that ye have heard. And also Solomon sitteth on the throne of the kingdom. And moreover, the king's servants came to bless our master King David, saying, Elohim make the name of Solomon better than thy name, and make his throne greater than thy throne. And the king bowed himself upon the bed. And also thus said the king, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, which hath given one to sit on my throne this day, mine eyes even seeing it. And all the guests that were with Adonijah were afraid and rose up, and went every man his way. And go ahead.
So now 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. Is he given a spirit of fear, of power, and love, and a sound mind right now? Read the next verse. My bad.
50.
Yep.
And Adonijah feared because of Solomon, and arose and went and caught hold on the horns of the altar.
So why do you think he went and did that? Because for one, he didn't think that the king would have him killed, like in the tabernacle of the sanctuary, by the horns of the altar, right? You know, he's trying to save his own life. But we can see that he has a spirit of fear now, because he knows that he did not have a sound mind. So he forsook power and love, because he wouldn't operate in love. He was operating as a snake. That's why he made that covenant at the Serpent Stone. The subtitle for this lesson is also, A Hardened Heart Can Lead You to Death. Well, a hardened heart is a covenant with death. Is a covenant with death. And so he feared for his life. I did all this. Let me go. Let me grab these horns real quick by the altar so I can make sure I'm good. Keep going, though. Keep going.
And it was told Solomon, saying, Behold, Adonijah feareth the king Solomon. For lo, he hath caught hold on the horns of the altar, saying, Let King Solomon swear unto me today.
You grab the bull by the horns, huh?
That he will not slay his servant with the sword. And Solomon said, If he will shew himself a worthy man, or show himself a worthy man, there shall not an hair of him fall to the earth. but if wickedness shall be found in him, he shall die. So King Solomon sent. Is that right? So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar, and he came and bowed himself to King Solomon. And Solomon said unto him, Go to thine house.
So King Solomon still had mercy on him. So he didn't die. But I'm telling you, a hardened heart is a covenant with death. Subtitle. Because Adonijah, his life has been spared. So he should be good. But let's see, we're gonna go a little bit further, because
he should get back on that tomfoolery.
So if he didn't have a sound heart or mind, he had a heart or mind that beat to a different sound. And we're gonna see that. Let's go to 1 Kings 2. Let's keep it moving.
First Kings chapter 2.
Okay. So I think I'll start this one. Let me know when y'all ready.
Ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. And keep the charge of Yahuwah the Elohim to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the Torah of Moshe, and that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself. That Yahuwah may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, If thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth, Psalms 119, with all their heart or mind, and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. Okay. Moreover, thou knowest also what Yoab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me, and what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner, the son of Ner, and unto Amasa, the son of Yether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. So, do y'all want to know what Abner did? I mean, what Yoab did? Okay. So, we are actually, okay, so go to 2 Samuel 3. That's not actually in the lesson, but we'll go to 2 Samuel 3. And here, let me get there. I'm talking, but I ain't even there. So right now, what's going on? There's a war between the house of David to be king and the house of Saul, right? Because David has been anointed king after Saul fell. After he didn't slay the king, and he had disobeyed the commandment of the Most High. So there's a big war between both houses. So right now in chapter 3, what is his name? My bad. Yoab, his brother, is not with him. Well, let's just go. Let's just start at 6. You'll see what I mean. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. So Abner was actually against King David. But what we're reading, and what he did to two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, and unto Amasa the son of Yether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in the shoes that were on his feet. So why would David care about Abner being destroyed if Abner was against him? Does that make sense to you, anybody? Abner was for the house of Saul, but David is counting this against Yoab. So let's keep going. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Yehuda do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul, thy father, to his brethren, and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? So why are you talking crazy to me about this woman? And so do Elohim to Abner, and more also, except as Yahuwah have sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel, over Israel and over Yehuda, from Dan even to Bathsheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. Abner wasn't no punk. He was a killer. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, whose is the land? Saying also, make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. So Abner is doing what? He's making a covenant with David. So again, Abner was with Saul, and now he's making a covenant with David. Let's keep going. And he said, well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, that thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Micah, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. That was David's wife. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife, Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish, because Saul had remarried her. And her husband went with her along weeping behind her to Baharim. Then said Abner unto him, go, return. And he returned. So David makes a covenant with him, right? Okay, let's continue the conversation. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, you sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it, for you who have spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin, and Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron. All that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So he's getting everybody that was against David to start to try to come back to David. So Abner wasn't for him. Now Abner is for him. So why is David holding that charge against Yoab? Like, what's really going on? Okay. So Abner came to David, to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were there with him a feast. That's why I said they made a covenant. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go and will gather all Israel unto my master the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. So David made peace with him and let him go in peace, right? Now, okay. So before we keep going to this, I'll go back to some of the stuff we went over earlier. Get out of Kings. Come on. Okay. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. I'm going to say that again. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. So I'm saying that because we're going to see what he did. So there's a little bit more backstory. So Yoab's brother, Ashael, ended up getting killed by Abner. Now, in 2 Samuel chapter 2, Abner was trying to flee the scene because there was a battle that broke out, and he was trying to flee, and his brothers kept chasing him, trying to kill him. Like, look, man, you keep chasing me, I'm going to kill you, and then how am I going to look in the face of your family? And he didn't stop, so Abner had to, he had to take him out. So now, and behold, the servants of David and Yoab came from pursuing a troop and brought in great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. When Yoab and all his hosts that was with him were come, they told Yoab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Then Yoab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. So he's like, man, why are you doing that? You should have took him out. And when Yoab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sarai, but David knew it not. So his messengers were sent out to look for him, right? And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Yoab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, because Abner thinking, "Oh, I just made with the king. We good. No matter what I did in the past, no, we should be good." In league with the king, to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Ashael, his brother. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before Yahuwah forever from the blood of Abner the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Yoab and on all his father's house, and let there not fail from the house of Yoab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. So I just wanted y'all to know that. Oh man, my bad. My bad. So where are we? We're in 1 Kings 2 now, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, 1 Kings 2, verse
6. So now we know why David has aught against Yoab, right? So he said, verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his whorehead go down to the grave in peace. So Yoab was not a wise servant. He was not a wise servant. Matter of fact, I'm going to show y'all one more thing. Can one of y'all go to 1 Chronicles 27 and read verses 23 and 24?
Wait, 1 Chronicles what?
27.
27.
And read verses 23 and 24.
23, 24.
But David took not the number of them from 20 years old and under, because Yahuwah had said he would increase Israel like to the stars of the heavens. Yoab, the son of Zeruiah, began to number, but he finished not, because there fell wrath for it against Israel. Neither was the number put in the account of the Chronicles of King David.
So now we know that it ended up being a sin to King David because he numbered the people. But now, okay, really quick. So Yoab was not obedient. He didn't number everybody. We just read it. So go to 1 Chronicles 21 and start from verse 1 and read through verse 7. I think it's that one. Let me make sure.
1 Chronicles 21, verse 1 through 27.
Yep, that's the one.
And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel.
You do.
And David said to Yoab, is that how he says that? And to the rulers of the people, go, number Israel from Beersheba even to Dan, and bring to the number of them to me, that I may know it. And Yoab answered, the Lord make his people 100 times so many more as they be. But, my lord king, are they not all my lord's servants? Why then doth my lord require this thing? Why will he be a cause of trespass to Israel? Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Yoab. Wherefore Yoab departed and went through all Israel, and came to Jerusalem. And Yoab gave the sum of the number of the people unto David, and all they of Israel were 1,000,000 and 100,000 men that drew sword, And Judah was 410 men that drew swords. But Levi and Benjamin counted he not among them, for the king's word was abominable to Yoab. And God was displeased with this thing. Therefore he smote Israel.
So he wasn't obedient to the king. Now, it does say that Satan got David to number the people, but then he still didn't obey the words of the king. And then it says what? And Elohim was displeased with this thing, therefore he smote Israel. So thousands of people ended up dying behind that. And you still didn't get the right number of people like he was supposed to. So David, like he was like, yeah, I'm Solomon. Make sure that you cut these people off. So I'm just showing you more of the history because these people weren't operating, even though they were warning the king. The king tell you to do something, you still got to do it. That's still your authority or your power. You got to listen to it and obey. Okay, so when I'm on 8. But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai. Back in First Kings. The Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at my table. For so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom thy brother. And behold, thou hast with thee Shimei, the son of Gerar, Benjamite of Bahurim, which cursed with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Manaim. But he came down to meet me at Jordan, and I swear to him by Yahuwah, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword. So now Shimei, David had made some errors. He had sinned, a few different times. And here comes Shimei, goes and starts cursing at the king. Then he starts throwing stones at the king. Then he starts pouring dust on the king. Now, does that sound like somebody's operating with a sound mind?
Not at all.
A king.
Yeah.
And David was like, no, I'm not going to do it. You're not going to die by a sword by me. No, I'm not going to. But did he forget, though? No, he ain't forgot. Let's see what David says about him. He said, I will not put him to death with the sword. Now, therefore, hold him not guiltless, for thou art a wise man, and knowest what thou oughtest to do unto him. But his hoar head bring thou down to the grave with blood. So make sure you take that sucker out for the trespass that he has against me. Because again, people, they just wouldn't operate in a sound mind. They were doing what? Operating off of what? Emotionalism. Being controlled by their emotions. Not and leaning onto their own understanding. Doing what's right in their own eyes, being wise in their own conceit. Because even though David was wrong, that don't mean you go throw stones at him, curse him out, and then pour dust on his head. Like, that don't even sound right.
At all.
Like, let somebody go do that to Trump right now. Or not Trump, to Biden right now. That like, for real, like, yeah, I'm gonna throw these knives at him. One of them stones could have killed him.
Yeah.
That assassination attempt.
I'm saying, though, that our people weren't operating with a sound mind. Again, being ruled by their emotions. Verse 10. So David slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of Daud. So can one of y'all keep going?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, we're on 11.
Wait, we're up there, right?
Yeah, we're on 11.
Number 11. And the days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned in Jerusalem. Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. And Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and she said, Cometh thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably.
So hold on. Who's Adonijah again? Solomon's what? Brother. Solomon's brother. Solomon just got done sparing his life. He was grabbing the horns of the altar. Just got done saving his life.
Right.
So why is this guy that made the covenant and the serpent stones talking to Bathsheba again, or talking to Bathsheba at all? Okay. And not to the king himself. That is his brother, right? Okay.
He said, Moreover, I have something to say unto thee. And she said, Say on. And he said, Thou knowest that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I should reign. Howbeit, the kingdom is turned about, and is become my brother's. For it was his from the Lord.
So if it was from Yahuwah's, how was it ever his kingdom?
What in the world? And he said that, like, wow.
And he said that, that the kingdom was mine. All Israel wanted me to be king, that I should reign, and now the kingdom is turned upside down. Like, you can tell he ain't operating in a sound mind. Like, he off his rocker. I was reading something like, what, is you drunk?
Just because those folks was calling him king, even though he wasn't ordained.
Right.
It still wasn't anointed to him by the Most High, so he was never meant to be king.
No, he wasn't.
He felt he was because he told himself he was.
Right.
And acted accordingly.
Mm-hmm. He exalted himself.
And now I ask one petition of thee, deny me not. And she said unto him, say on. And he said, speak, I pray thee unto Solomon the king, for he will not say thee nay, that he give me Abishag,
the
Shunammite to wife.
So, who was Abishag the Shunammite again?
No.
I don't remember.
Okay, so David was dying in the beginning of 1 Kings. He had the chills, right? So they went and found a fair damsel, a virgin, to minister unto him. And remember, back in those days, whenever you had the chills and you were trying to recover, you were a king that would go find a fair damsel, a virgin, and she would either become your concubine or your wife. So this is the woman that ministered to King David, but King David did not have sex with her.
I remember, okay.
So why would he want to wife her exactly?
It's like almost like he's envious.
And then, because she was basically like royalty. So another sneaky way for him to try to get the throne. Like no, I'm with the wife or the woman that was the latest concubine or whatever of the king, even though she didn't sleep with him.
Right. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, sneaky.
And Bathsheba said, well, I will speak for thee unto the king.
Let's read the 20.
Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak unto him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her, and bowed himself unto her, and sat down on his throne, and caused a seat to be set for the king's mother, and she sat on his right hand. Then she said, I desire one small petition of thee. I pray thee, say me not nay. And the king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not say thee nay.
Joan, can you go?
And she said, let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah thy brother to wife. And King Solomon answered and said unto his mother, and why dost thou ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he is mine elder brother, even for him, and for, what's that,
Abiathar.
Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Jerubbabel.
So Solomon realizes what's going on. He ain't no fool, because what? He has a what? At this point in time, he has a sound mind. Keep going.
Then King Solomon sware by Yahuwah, saying, Elohim do so to me, and more also of Adonai, if Adonai have not spoken this word against his own life.
A hardened heart is a covenant with death. Because that's what he did. Because his brother spent his life, told him to go to thine own house, and then he want to go and talk to his mother, because they didn't have the same mama. So let me go talk to Sama mama real quick. And I know if she asks him, he'll let me have her to wife, and then I can secretly get the throne back, right? That I never had, even though I thought I did have it, but I didn't. So now you see what they're talking about. He says that he's spoken that against his own life. So let's see what happens, because Benaiah and our people were not no punks back then. Okay.
25.
24.
Okay. Now therefore, as Yahuwah liveth, which hath established me and set me on the throne of David, my father, and who hath made me an house, as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death this day. And King Solomon sent by the hand of Benaiah, the son of Yehoiada, and he fell upon him that he died.
So his treachery led to his death. Remember, they all made that covenant at the Serpent stones. You know, that agreement. Okay, keep going.
And unto
Abiathar,
the priest, said the king, get thee to Anathoth unto thine own fields, for thou art worthy of death. But I will not at this time put thee to death, because thou bearest the ark of the
covenant. What?
The ark of
Yahuwah
Elohim before David my father. And because thou hast been afflicted in all wherein my father was afflicted. So Solomon thrust out Abiathar from being priest unto Yahuwah, that he might fulfill the word of Yahuwah, which he spake concerning the house of Eli. And what is that, Shalom?
Elo, yeah, out of Shiloh. So now, not only did Adonijah die, he was killed. Abiathar, he got kicked out of his office of being the high priest. Right? Okay.
Then tidings came to Joab, for Joab had turned after Adonijah, though he turned not after Absalom. And Joab fled unto the tabernacle of Yahuwah, and caught hold of the horns of the altar. And it was told King Solomon that Joab was fled unto the tabernacle of Yahuwah. And behold, he is by the altar. Then Solomon sent Benaiah, the son of, I keep forgetting this one,
Yehoiada. Yeah. Yehoiada, my bad.
Yehoiada, the son of Yehoiada, saying, go fall upon him.
So, as soon as the tidings came to Yoab, he went and did the exact thing that what Adonijah did. He went to the altar like, I'm going to grab these horns. Like, hey, I know you spared him, so let's see if he's going to have that kind of mercy. But this guy's got innocent blood on him. Because we just read that in 2 Kings, right? And he killed Amasa, because, and I didn't tell you about Amasa. So the other guy, he ended up killing Amasa. He ended up becoming the captain of the host in Yoab basically stead, and Yoab had to basically see him do that. So one day, as Amasa's wearing the mantle or the guard or the clothing for that office, like his sword just like falls out of his like sheath or whatever. And so Yoab comes to him like, are you in good health, brother? And he grabs him by the hair to give him a kiss. You know, we used to kiss on the cheek back then. And then he goes and kills him right then and there, and takes his position as in the office. So that's why David had something against, 2 faults against him, 2 odds against him. Okay, keep going.
30?
Yes.
All right. And Benaiah came to the tabernacle of Yahuwah and said unto him, thus saith the king, come forth. And he said, nay, but I will die here. And Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, thus said Joab, and thus he answered.
So when because we know there's different levels of sin, and we're focusing on having a sound mind, because there's trespasses, then there's transgressions, and then there's what that last and the big one is what? Iniquity. Once you get into iniquity, can't no altar, can't no grabbing of the horns or nothing save you. Like once that iniquity cup is full, and the Most High is ready to pour that wrath out, it's a wrap. It don't matter what you try to do, because like, let's see if I'm lying. Keep going. Well, or I can read if you're done. My bad.
I forgot where I was at. 31?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the king said unto him, do as he had said, and fall upon him, and bury him, that thou mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me, and from the house of my father.
Yeah, I'll read. And Yahuwah shall return his blood upon his own head, who fell upon 2 men more righteous and better than he. So even though at times David actually had differences with these other 2 men, they were more righteous than Yoab was. And slew them with the sword, my father David, not knowing thereof, to wit Abner the son of Ner, captain of the host of Israel, and Amasa the son of Yether, captain of the host of Yehudah. So he killed them both. Their blood shall therefore return upon the head of Yoab and upon the head of his seed forever. So the king is putting a curse on that seed forever. But and we wonder why some of our people can't break these generational curses. Some of these people are the direct descendants of these people, right? But upon David and upon his seed and upon his house and upon his throne shall there be shalom forevermore from Yahuwah. Well, forever from Yahuwah. So Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, went up and fell upon him and slew him, and he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. So even though he was grabbing the horns of the altar, I'm telling you, Benaiah wasn't no punk, boy. He's like, oh, you think that's gonna? No, I got commandment from the king, and I will not transgress against that commandment. It ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna do it.
Somebody gonna die today.
Cause Benaiah, he had a sound mind, yeah. And like they killing their own people, cousins. These people that we're talking about, they're all cousins.
Wow.
They're cousins.
Makes sense to this day.
Exactly. And then once all the killing's done, and the king put Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, in his room over the host. So the killer of the two captains of the host, Benaiah, became the captain of the host now. And Zadok the priest the king put in the room of Abiathar. And the king sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, build thee an house in Jerusalem and dwell there, and go not forth from thence anywhither. For it shall be that on the day that thou goest out and passest over the brook Kidron, thou shalt know for certain that thou shalt surely die. Thy blood shall be upon thine head. So he's still showing mercy. Be like, go to Jerusalem, dwell. Now let's see what Shimei says. And Shimei said unto the king, saying, the saying is good, as my master the king hath said, so will thy servant do. And Shimei dwelt in Jerusalem many days. So he's saying, no, what you said, I'm going to do it. It sounds good to me. It sounds really good to me. You know, you're not killing me. I got a chance. These other jokers, Benaiah just fell upon him. He ain't been playing. Just keep Benaiah away from me. I don't even say Benaiah, man. I'm having nightmares. And it came to pass at the end of 3 years that two of the servants of Shimei ran away unto Achish, the son of Maacah, king of Gath. And they told Shimei, saying, behold, thy servants be in Gath. And Shimei arose and saddled his ass and went to Gath to Achish to seek his servants. And Shimei went and brought his servants from Gath. Now, what's wrong with that? What am I missing? Why did he go there?
He went there to treat his servants, but he wasn't supposed to leave Jerusalem. He was supposed to stay put.
He wasn't supposed to leave. And the king sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, did I not make thee to swear by Yahuwah, and protested unto thee, saying, know for a certain on the day thou goest out and walkest abroad anywhither, that thou shalt surely die. And thou said unto me, the word that I have heard is good. So he didn't have a sound mind, because he was probably thinking, oh, the king, he forgot about it. There's no way he's checking the day. No, I'll be all right. I'm just going to go get these two servants.
You live all the way over there. He ain't going to find out.
What? He ain't got eyes in Gath. Like, if you got servants, why wouldn't you just send servants to go get your servants, bring them back?
Right.
Send one of your sons or something if you got other family member to go get them. Why are you doing it?
Because that could do it.
Right, because he thought he was doing things according to his own mind and his own eye. He was leaning on his own understanding. Like, he was just operating in what emotions, like, oh, my servants think they can just run away from me and leave me? Oh, no. They're going to find out today. I'm going to go get them myself.
Not me. 3 more after.
Right. Why then hast thou not kept the oath of Yahuwah and the commandment that I have charged with thee with? The king said moreover to Shimei, thou knowest all the wickedness which thine heart is privy to, that thou didst to David my father. Therefore Yahuwah shall return thy wickedness upon thine own head, and King Solomon shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before Yahuwah forever. So the king commanded Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, which went out and fell upon him, but he died. Benaiah, again, I told you, bro, like, man for hire, man, like, hey, you need somebody to get knocked off? Call Benaiah. The big eye. And the kingdom was established in the hand of Solomon. So again, with the sound mind, those things, all of that stuff could have been avoided, but they wasn't worried about that. They was trying to please their own flesh, appease their emotions. And one thing I noticed that was really strange. So, the last thing I got. So, David had lots of sons, right? Lots of sons. So he reigned in Hebron 7 years, in Jerusalem 33 years. So in Hebron, Adonijah was the fourth son born there, which means he was supposed to be uncircumcised, right? He was supposed to be like a type of set apart thing. But in Jerusalem, Solomon was the fourth son born. So Solomon was the true the true circumcision. And 4 plus 4 is 8. So Solomon was the new day, the new beginning, because Adonijah's day had to end. But I was just like, wow, they were both the fourth one born in both places. That was just strange to me. I'm like, wow. And one that made a covenant with death, and one had a sound mind and had the covenant with life at the time. Up to this point, Solomon has a sound mind. So again, that's sound mind 5. Adonijah, Abiathar, Yoab, Shimei, and the serpent stones. That's all I got. That's it. That's all I got for today. Y'all good? We good? Straight? You want to pray us out, Jim?
Yeah. Abiyah, thank you for bringing us together today, waking us up to see another day that you blessed us with, Abiyah. Thank you for the word that we received today, Abiyah, and that we dig into this more after we part ways, Abiyah, to try to achieve the inner workings of the sound mind, because it is no easy feat, Abiyah. But I believe we will all still work on that and do the best that we can, Abiyah. I pray that you keep us safe as we go our separate ways today, Abiyah. Thank you for my sister Jessica, brother Manny, and my brothers and sisters that aren't with us today. In your name I pray. Shalom.
And Father, we just want to put a prayer covering over our families and our loved ones, Father. Help us to operate in a sound mind, Father, so we can quell arguments, Father, so we can not get into vain babblings and disputes that don't matter, Father, and so that we can keep our shalom and our peace, Father. And we just ask for you to protect us in each and all of our ways and all of our doings, Father. Protect us on our jobs. Just protect our lives, Father. And we just ask for you to anoint our heads with oil, Father. We just ask, Father, for mercy and for forgiveness, Father. Mercy and for forgiveness, Father, whether there's sins or whether we've offended or we've been offended, Father. Help us to have mercy so that we can receive mercy, Abiyah, in Yahushua's name. And again, we're just so grateful and we're thankful for you today, Father, for each and everything you've done. Thank you for sending Adonai, Yahushua, to die for the sins of the world, Father. Thank you for having that much mercy on us, Father, because as we've read today, our people were wicked, their eyes were evil towards each other, Father. And we are trying to get it right with a sound mind to learn how to truly love our neighbors as ourselves, Father, and to prefer one another again, Father, to be able to live peaceably, Father, if it's possible, Father, with all men. And I just thank you, Father. You're amazing, and you are our life. You are our being, Father. And just thank you for your truth, your way of truth, your word of truth, that we may not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word, Father. So all these things we do ask and pray in the name of Adonai Yahushua Mashiach. So be it. Amen.
Amen.
Shalom. All right, y'all. Y'all keep the y'all's assembly.
You end it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's ended yet. Hold on.
Exit, maybe.
Wait, 22 minutes. What? Oh, it's probably just not updating because my phone's still on.
Yeah, it's more than that.
I don't know.
Oh, wait. Oh, that's weird. Oh, no. That's right. You got an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
I think it counts down. Is that what it does? See, like here it says 34 minutes, but that's until it's finished.
Yeah.
But if you go all the way to the beginning, it has an hour and 46 minutes.